Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. Well, we are right here celebrating the Thanksgiving weekend and holiday. As of yesterday was Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a great meal and enjoyed their family. And today is Friday, Black Friday, the #1 shopping spree in time, especially in the United States. Well, I got a contradictory story for you, where this particular young man, 28 years old, and his wife allegedly decided to use the country club's bank accounts and credit cards as their own piggy bank. So it's kind of like they allegedly stole from this country club, which I guess would be their Black Friday to a certain degree. They didn't go on a spending spree, but they went on a stealing spree from this country club. And this gentleman was the ex-comptroller of this country club. So it's kind of a Robin Hood scenario. Even though he stole from the country club, he didn't give the money to the poor. What did he do? He kept the money for himself and his wife. And now they are on the run. So let's get into this story. This is an interesting one. And this country club hired a 28-year-old man to be the comptroller, to be in control of the bank accounts and credit cards of this country club. And now it has bit the country club in the butt, and I'm sure they have some regrets. We all know that most country clubs, you're talking about high net worth individuals, it's a segregatory kind of club where they pick and choose who they want to be a part of the club. And this particular couple decided to steal from this country club and chase the bag by any means necessary. And now the feds, the U.S. government is going after this couple who is allegedly hiding in Mexico. So let's get into what happened. Ex-country club comptroller accused of theft is still living in Mexico, and there is a $4 million judgment awaiting them upon their arrest. The former comptroller for an Anderson Township country club, who is accused of stealing nearly $900,000 in 2023 before fleeing to Mexico, is still wanted in the U.S. and has been ordered, along with his wife, to pay more than $4 million. $4 million. He has been living in Mexico as a temporary resident and helped open a restaurant there. So he stole this money from the country club, goes to Mexico, even tells people he's going to Mexico, and then opens up a restaurant. And this is according to the country club's attorney. The gentleman's name is Kenley Lee, 28, and a woman described in court documents as his wife, 33-year-old Catherine Solke, are believed to be living on Lake Chapala, about 300 miles west of Mexico City, in a community with other expatriates. Coldstream Country Club sued Lee and Solke in December 2023, soon after the alleged theft was discovered. The couple had already fled to Mexico at that point. Mr. Lee, 28 years old, worked for the country club as his comptroller for less than a year. But during that time, according to court documents, he and Solke, his wife, transferred Coldstream's money to accounts they controlled. A former Coldstream official in an affidavit said Lee also manipulated wage and reimbursement payments to himself, significantly increasing his salary. Lee is alleged to have gambled away a lot of the money. Remember, this guy is 28 years old. He's in the beginning of his life. He steals this money, commits a crime, an alleged crime, and decides to spend most of it gambling. That sounds like a young, immature, arrogant person who's not being respectful to the company he worked for, let alone to law enforcement. Last year, the Hamilton County judge who is overseeing the civil suit found that Lee and Sulky together stole $871,688 from Coldstream. Under Ohio law, the country club is owed, now this is the law, you gotta know the law, so under Ohio law, the country club is owed triple the damages for the theft in addition to punitive and other damages, making the total for both Lee and Sulky nearly $4 million. That amount also accrues interest until it's paid. Lee is also ordered to pay a separate $79,000 judgment. So look at how that goes. He stole about $900,000, and based on the damages that were incurred and punitive damages, it skyrocketed to $4 million is what he owes. So who is Kenley Lee? Lee is a native of Clyde, Texas, attended the University of Arkansas at Monticello, and was a star golfer there, according to the university's website. He was scheduled to graduate in 2019. He began his job as comptroller for Coldstream in February of 2023. His annual salary was $95,000. That's a pretty good salary. Because of his job, he had complete access to the country club's financial information, bank accounts, as well as the country club Visa card. Should you give that kind of responsibility to a 28-year-old? When I would assume that the majority of the people that are members of the country club are probably 50 and over. Should they have probably hired somebody in their 40s or 50s versus a 28-year-old to give that person that kind of responsibility over millions of dollars of this country club's account? I think the country club folks, the board members, are probably going to take a look in the mirror because of that. Does his age have anything to do with it? You could be 58 and still be someone that likes to steal or is unscrupulous in their professional behavior. The former Coldstream official also said in the affidavit that Lee gave Sulky, his wife, access to the club's financial information, and that Miss Sulky spent a lot of time in his office. So you got both of them corroborating in this alleged theft. The affidavit says the couple bought a 2022 Kia SUV for nearly $50,000 using a cashier's check. Nearly all of the money in the account had been stolen from Coldstream, according to the affidavit. And you got to remember, there is a digital footprint in today's time. Every transaction, whether it's the credit card, the bank accounts, transferring funds, there is a digital and a technological footprint to find every dollar where it started and where it went. It's hard to steal in today's time with everything being based on technology, and we're basically living in a somewhat cashless society. Lee and Sulky took the SUV as well as a 2012 Mercedes-Benz to Mexico, according to the affidavit. Court documents say that Mr. Lee and Ms. Sulky carefully planned how they would flee to Mexico with the money they stole from Coldstream, closing all bank accounts and other financial accounts, as well as selling and transferring assets, all digital footprints. He told the country club that he and his wife were vacationing in Mexico. So he committed this alleged theft, him and his wife. And then, as a young, immature 28-year-old, he goes on to tell the country club where he's going. He's going to Mexico for vacation with much of their money, with almost $1 million of their money. That is very immature, arrogant, and this false pretense that he's smarter than the entire country club. This departure was timed to avoid an audit that would have uncovered the theft, the document says. The Inquirer reached out to Lee and Sulky through email addresses they previously used, and neither responded. So what did the attorney for the country club say? That he's never safe. Christopher McDowell, an attorney for Coldstream, said justice will be served eventually. The victim in the case, Coldstream Country Club, is a corporate entity that will exist long into the future, even after these two individuals are caught and arrested. And the $4 million judgment with accruing interest can't be discharged through bankruptcy, McDowell said. That's part of the Ohio state law, the statute. The arrest warrant for Lee means that if he shows up at any port of entry in the United States, he will be arrested. If Lee is convicted, McDowell said he will ask for a lengthy prison sentence. He said it's just a matter of time, Attorney McDowell said. And he said that Mr. Lee and Miss Soki are never safe. They will eventually be caught. What do you think of this incredible story of this young man, 28 years old, at the beginning of his adult life, moving forward, and then he decides to turn a positive situation where he was making almost $100,000 as a comptroller of a country club. That is an elite job, an elite position to have in the community, and he decides to allegedly go into the criminal way of life and decides to abscond, steal almost $1 million, and then him and his alleged wife decide to go to Mexico and think that they will not be caught. Well, eventually they will be caught, and there will be a heavy price to pay for what Mr. Lee and Miss Soki allegedly did. And I keep telling young folks, chasing the bag by any means necessary, even crossing the lines into criminality, will not end well. The things that are in the dark will eventually come to light. The unbelievable will become believable, and the unforeseen will become seen. We are living in a different day and time, and chasing the bag by any means necessary is not the way to go. Tell me what you think. This has been a Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth.